Kemper Profiler Tones and Talks. Hello, everybody. The post-summer edition and the start into a new season of Tones and Talks, people. Hello, Thomas Dill.
Hi, Tom Wendt. How are you?
I'm very, very well. I hope you too. It was an interesting summer, and so I hope you are filled up the wazoo with vitamin D and positive vibes, looking to the fall season. And yeah, the summer, and this is going to be a weird one now, but pun intended. The summer usually has you traveling around, and then something has to drive you home. Someone has to drive you home. Who's gonna drive you home? The profiler. So what does that mean? Yeah. Sorry. Sorry for that. I had to. And that has to do with what we want to do in this season, at least start this season with. And that's drive, shaping tones, drive pedals, all the boutique ones that are out there, what they are for, what's the basic idea, and how can you utilize basically the whole world of drives that's existing out there, plus even a little bit more with your profiler, and how the concepts work to shape your tones and your gain, and how your guitar basically sounds. This sounds a little bit basic, but I found out during the summer while I was, visiting a lot of concerts, seeing some people on tour, and hearing about why guitar players use this and this and this gear. And I learned that there's a lot of myth. There are a lot of myths concerning drive pedals and how the drive pedal aspect is rebuilt or offered in digital technology in the profiler versus some other devices. They use pictures of overdrives, and then you see what you get, and then usually you have something like that drive character. The Kemper has the drive design system, so to say, with a lot of presets. We covered that with the Klon. And so we want to get into this a little bit. What can it do for you, and how do you approach it when you are after a certain tone? And of course, as usual, Mr. Thomas Dill knows much more about drives and the basic concept and the basic and, well, even, of course, also the advanced application of this. And so we wanted to start that conversation before we get into the specifics. So what's drive for you combined to distortion? We're not talking about distortion pedals. It's about drive pedals. And so what's the purpose for you of a drive pedal compared to a boost or a distortion?
Different. So as I have the international driver license, so I use the drives not only in Germany. So, but there is not the typical thing to use a drive in that specific case. So first of all, I'm using in some analog setups a clean amp and creating overdrive tones. So from crunch to lead tones, only with overdrives. Here, when I'm recording and use tube amps, I use sometimes drives to boost the tube amp, like a Marshall, putting a tube screamer in front of the Marshall or the clone in front of the Marshall. Then another thing is I use the drive as a tone shaper. So very often when I'm using the Seriatone, the Dumble clone, to get a more brilliant, crispy tone, it's great to have the clone in front of it and turn the tone knob up instead of using the treble or presence knob on the amp. So it's kind of yeah, something like a little helper to shape the tone and to shape the style of overdrive. So sometimes people think, yeah, overdrive, guitar, amp, that's it. Turn the amp up and that's fine. Then I have my overdrive tone. But when you take a boost or take an overdrive, the overdrive is, for me, it's a little bit more flexible than a normal boost. And so then you get a certain kind of overdrive tone that is different to the normal pure amp tone. And it's what I think it's a little bit smoother depending on the overdrive what you're using and depending on the setting. So yeah, I'm using a lot of different overdrives and also the drives in the Kemper, in the profiler.
Yeah.
So this is I can't give you the exact one. Yeah, for me it's green, green and yes and green.
Yeah,
So there are many variations.
Yeah, and the point is the impact. I think that's also important to understand for everyone who is with us on this planet for a while already. I think the purpose of the overdrives has changed over the years big time, because in the old days we were like longing, begging, preaching for more gain, and we wanted to drive the amps to get a better distorted tone, so more sustain and more distortion. But these days are over completely, because I think every amp, if you want to, has at least, well, usually 2 channels, only if you get one very special hand-built pure one-channel amplifiers. So to get gain is not an issue anymore. But to have flavors of this gain and work with several gain levels in terms of levels of, let's call it, distortion, because gain basically is just level, volume, and it's the distortion aspect of that. And that's when the role of drives has changed big time, because then you either use them to reduce the gain of an amp, which you might use if you want to go open and go crazy with a very distorted solo, or you want to tune that tone of that amp when, as usually, still the tone control, the tone stack section usually still is pretty limited with most amps. So drives come in to shape a little bit more and get you more what you like. And they depend on the big situation, the very complex situation of level, gain staging, regarding how much distortion you will have in the end. Because this here, to here, you might get, a clean and a distorted situation. But if you are not happy, but if you're happy with this tone, but not with this tone, then you might bring in come on, switch it just on. You might bring in a drive pedal which might not give you more distortion, but a different tonal character that the treble, for example, doesn't get too dominant when you increase the gain. So talked about all of this. Let's maybe dive into what you have prepared for us to, how would you call it, to better understand the I don't know, this complex situation.
The sense of taking an overdrive to get a breakup tone, as we did, or as I did in 2 episodes before, and yeah, to take an overdrive and an overdriven amp to create this breakup tone. What normally people think it's stupid to add an overdrive to an overdrive amp, but you can get some less gain with your settings. And yeah, this is something I would call it, you said gain staging, I would call it gain management. And yeah, I prepared something from the basics so that everybody can understand, and at which points when you use different equipment, at which point you are able to control the gain, the amount of gain, and to have an impact on the gain structure. So should we start?
Yeah, just let us have a look, and then we can take it from there. Because there's also a thing that with the conversation of one special gentleman on stage resulted in a thing that might need a little bit further explanation. But let's do this later. So I'm happy.
Okay.
No, I'm curious to see what you prepared.
Let's look to some pictures. Okay. Yeah. I will share the screen with this one. So this is the old school combination, a guitar and as in the 60s, a non-master volume amp. To get some gain, you need to turn the amp up, and this results into a loud amp these days. And the controls are volume on the amp and the volume on the guitar. So you can turn up the amp to the maximum, have an overdrive sound, and clean it up like you also do with the guitar. The next thing is to use a booster. Then you have the non-master volume amp, volume knob, volume on the guitar, and the booster is something like a preamp. It just adds volume, and it adds volume to the input of the amp. So it's overdriving the input stage, input gain or preamp gain of the amp. So this is a different sound than the class A master volume, or not master volume, class A power amp distortion. So preamp distortion added by the booster. Next thing is to have an overdrive. The overdrive creates inside the box, as the people say, soft diode clipping or saturation, and a little bit clean guitar signal mixed to the saturated sound. This is what many people describe as an overdrive pedal compared to a distortion pedal. So some people say these words like transparent overdrive. I don't want to use that here. So it's an overdrive creating drive sound with the drive knob. So you have gain or drive at a control. And you can also control the input stage with the volume of the overdrive. So that's what many people do. So 2 options. You can create the internal overdrive sound, turning the drive or gain knob of the overdrive way up, and have the level to appropriate level compared to the clean sound. Or you can turn the drive knob all the way down and turn the level up to create this preamp or input gain overdrive from the amp. So in this situation, we have 4 controls for gain. And the next situation is a master volume amp. This master volume amp has a preamp gain, so there is the preamp overdrive. and it has this master volume. So you can create with a high amount of master volume another different tone or character of overdrive. That's what people say is the power amp saturation or compression of the power amp. This is not the same as preamp gain. So, but it's nice to have, and also the volume control on the guitar. These three are the gain controls for the guitar and master volume amp setup. Now, same, taking a booster, then we have two input gain stages. So the volume of the booster overdrives the input of the amp, and we have the preamp gain also. So two gain stages for the input gain and the master volume and the volume on the guitar to control the gain 4 times. We have 5 things, 5 parameters, volume on the guitar when we're using an overdrive. So we have the gain from the overdrive, the volume from the overdrive, preamp gain, master volume, and the volume from the guitar. And of course, stacking overdrives or stacking boosts. Then we have a little bit more controls. So 6 controls now: guitar volume, boost volume, gain on the overdrive, volume on the overdrive, preamp gain, and master volume. So as you might guess, it's very important to have this gain management, that you don't turn your amp when you use this setup and want to use definitely the boost and an overdrive and the slightly overdriven preamp gain on the amp. Then you can't turn the preamp gain up to 11 and turn up the drive on the overdrive. It's getting too muddy.
No.
So, no. Okay.
No, joking. Go on.
Yeah, of course. So you need to turn something down or take lower values on everything. So yeah, there's not a rule at all to do this. Okay, so this setup using in the profiler will get to this point. We have, of course, the guitar, a booster, pure booster, my favorite, controlling only the volume, the Kemper drive, controlling gain and volume, and then the amp, controlling the gain, then power sagging and compressor for this power amp saturation. This is what I'm using when I use this setup. And here we are. I would give it a try and check out some setups and now play some stuff, how different the sounds get when you're using full guitar volume and less amp gain, or vice versa. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
Or do you have something to add?
Yes, I do have something to add, but maybe just the focus where I want to go to in the long run. That's this situation where you have placed the Kemper drive is usually the thing where a lot of flavors, a lot of different pedals come into place into this management system, and a lot of questions out there are, why is that, and why so many, and what are the differences, and yada. So, but to go there first, we need to understand what's basically the purpose of this type of unit is in the chain of gain management. So yes.
Okay, so
That was a long yes, but with a where we want to shed some light on for the people out there. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. We need to talk about the Kemper drive and the concept of the Kemper drive, and that it's not 5 different overdrives with limited settings. So like having the Tube Screamer, having the clone, having that, because Christoph thought, I think that was in his mind, to get this flexible overdrive, because there is the basic overdrive circuits are all based on
Yeah. So you're absolutely right, absolutely. But
you
I didn't
kicked me now. You kicked
Yeah, yeah.
me.
No. I didn't want to start a detour here too
Yeah.
much,
Okay.
because let's stay with the gain management, and
Okay.
you were about to show some examples, because that's basically what these things are doing in terms of gain, and then we can from there get into
To the shaping
into the
concept.
flavor
Yeah.
world. Okay.
First, the
Not
bread. First the bread.
not to overwhelm you guys out there, because it's pretty complex. It's
Yeah.
really pretty complex.
But
So,
it's absolutely interesting. So, okay, going to the mighty rig manager. Here we are. And I just took the Marsplex number 3 from my rig pack, which I've used last time for the classic rock tone, and prepared a Kemper drive and a pure booster, as we had in the keynote now. And here are the amp settings. So this is 6.7 gain. And the guitar, I need to go back. The guitar, show you, wait a minute. What's important for me on the guitar, I have my 80s Strat, and here it is.
yeah, and you have the moving camera. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I just want to show the moving camera now. Here, volume knob is at 10, and I'm using on that Strat. There are EMG pickups, old 80s EMG pickups, so it's nothing vintage. It saved my life on stage, these pickups, because they are noiseless, and they are quite nice to use with the volume knob. So we have volume on 10. This is the tone. Volume on 9. 8. Now we are on 5. So there is a sweet spot for me that is somewhere at 8 for these typical breakup tones that I really like much. So some kind of overdrive, crunch tone, and this is the thing that I'm using with these amps, these overdrive amps. So now let's get back to the rig manager. Here we are. So for me, it should have this. So that works. It's dynamic, it's nearly clean, but I need to pick very soft, and that's what I don't do the most time. I pick normally my medium picking style is this. So it's a bit too distorted. So turning down the volume on the guitar on 6, getting this. Not fine. So for me, it's better to have the gain down at, let's say, 5, Turn the volume at 8. And that works fine. So this is a different sound as turning the gain much more down and turning the volume at 10 on the guitar. So yeah, we have these different settings, and you need to check out if you're hunting for this breakup tone. You definitely need to check out your picking style first, then check out where is the sweet spot on the guitar, second, and then adjust the overdrive tone, or starting with an overdrive tone, starting with the guitar at 10, and then, okay, the pick. Yeah, definitely. But we make another season talking about different picks. Okay, so gain, amp gain, volume on the guitar, and set up this sweet spot setting for this breakup tone. Now let's check the power amp stuff. Or the saturation. So there's something, I think I didn't talk about power sagging in all these episodes. Compressor, yes, but didn't talk about power sagging. So just getting a crunch tone. And now check that. Minimum. Maximum. It's a bit over the top. Do you hear with the Zoom connection a difference?
It's yeah, basically it's the typical change I would have expected. Also, it sounds a little bit more. How would you call it? More. Yeah, the positive word would be controlled. The negative word would be, and that's depending on from what school you come, tone-wise. It sounds a little bit more compressed.
Yeah, yeah. But this is the thing that you want to have, this power amp saturation or compression. And if you're using this, playing a Class A amp, 20 watt Class A amp, and turn it up to the maximum, then you get this massive compression. And yeah, this is something. Yes, please.
Just sorry to not confuse everybody because sorry for that. You said power amp saturation, but what we are talking about is power amp sagging.
Sagging, yeah.
And that's a different beast because saturation would add also some, let's call it distortion.
Yeah,
And the sagging is just, when there's also distortion involved, but not a big amount of that. It's just where the power stage gets too much signal to deal with and just gives up a little bit, and the tone, the volume gets reduced.
Gets down, yeah.
Okay, right.
Okay, so
Sorry, but
no, we need to talk the right stuff and don't confuse everybody.
there's so much alternative facts out there, so we try to be as precise and specific as possible.
Definitely. And okay, so combining that with the compressor, the amp compressor, you get this power amp, I would say power amp feel. This sagging, compressed power amp feel. And going back to the rig manager, here we are, taking this a little bit down, taking just here. Now with power sagging at the middle, a little bit of compression. So that works really fine, and especially it feels really fine. So there is something that you really can add, and you can touch the strings with this compressor. Now turning the compressor all the way down, it's a little bit lower with soft attack, and now you can raise a little bit the volume, so you get this power amp compressed thing. I think the camera moved now again from my...
Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, basically, so in a nutshell, in layman's terms, the compressor allows you to adjust the level of the guitar when you get the volume down. So if it's too soft, too little signal, you can raise it a little bit and it brings it up. So it evens out the difference between the guitar open and volume on 2 or 3.
Definitely. So now next step is using the booster. Here we are. So we have gain at 5, guitar volume at 8, and having that nice dynamic tone. Adding the boost creates a little bit more overdrive. And the overdrive is overdriving the amp input gain stage. So you can add some more. And when you turn down the volume on the guitar, you get this, again, this breakup tone. But a little bit different, so without the boost. And now my guitar volume is at 5. And turning up to 8, it's this sound. So. With the booster and on 5, this sound. Slightly different, but it works too. Another thing is now the Kemper drive. So I prepared this setting, the Clone 1, which has the drive at 0, so you can use that as a booster when you turn up the volume. Guitar at 8, so you hear a little bit tone shaping, and you need to add some volume to get on that same gain level. So that one, and you can use it, like a booster with a little bit of tone shaping. Or you can use it as the internal drive module, adding some drive from the Kemper drive. Without. And then you can use it. That's really great. Not with parallel, guitar signal or the parallel clean signal to get a less overdriven tone. So here are different stages. So we have the gain here, power amp, compressor for the power amp section or for the power amp compression section. Then we have the drive, the volume, and the mix level is another great tool, which I didn't mention in the keynote before. And we have, if we would like, to use the pure booster volume. So when we're using all three of them, we need to get a crunch tone or something like a breakup tone, we need to turn down a little bit of the drives or taking down the mix. So volume, guitar volume is 6. So it's very flexible, very dynamic, and a little bit shaped with these things, these units, I would call. And you can go from here to everywhere. You can take a treble sounding amp and shape the tone with the Kemper drive. When you're using some other stuff, the tone knob on the Kemper drive, the definition knob on the Kemper drive, and you can really fine tune the tone, especially when you need to use it in front of the amp. So you have this impact on the drive section of the amp's profile, and this is really great to have. So this is something totally different as a master EQ when you're mastering a track, an audio track.
Yeah, and that's basically the you touched already some of the special things that come with the Kemper drive. I would call it drive design system, because it's not just a drive that is added to the arsenal and it gives you that thing. It does basically everything that all the drives out there can do, and even maybe some more things. And the mix control, for example, is also pretty special, because the drives usually have the clean signal routed through to a certain extent. That's a thing by design. That's what drives are, to get a little bit more stability to the boosted signal. And now with the mix control, you can even season that to taste to increase basically the impact of the clean signal on top of that. And we haven't touched all the tone shaping aspects, but you can get the idea of how would you call it? How complex the whole tone mining task is for guitar players, and also on the other hand, how amazingly creative you can be and flexible with shaping your tone and focusing on unlimited nuances with your playing. And that brings us to again what we want to do with this season, to bring you a lot of ideas for this how to shape and to vary your guitar tone with the help of the Kemper drive design system, and compared to the fixed amazing boutique and vintage drive pedals out there. And I lost the thing. How you're able to design that, and and how to get basically more tone and more character out of the various guitars
Yeah.
as well, because well, in the studio usually it's no problem, but when you're on stage and you go to a gig, and when you have to decide, okay, what do I bring? So you definitely need something for the moment when the string breaks. So there's a second guitar. Most probably you don't have the exact model, and maybe a completely different model. So you're in the middle of doing something Gary Moore-like with a Les Paul, the string breaks, and then carry on with a telly or a Danelectro. So what do you do? Well, you know what to do after we discussed all this, because then you can just engage a drive you prepared for that and get at least closer to that impact that a guitar like that could have. So to cut a long story short, thank you, Thomas, so much for reminding us or bringing to us, the basic situation, the basic gain management situation. And from here, we want to, discover the unvisited, or of course also the standard visited tone territory out there. So I think we should and could wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I think it's enough to digest.
Talk enough. Do some special stuff with the Kemper drive then next time. Yeah, because I think it needs some explanation how this concept works, because we guitar player, me included, look when we have, okay, we like to have the clone tone, we like to have the tube screamer sound, we like to have the boss whatever sound, and when we see the orange sign, we see the green sign, we see the red or golden pedal, then we know, okay, we have 3 knobs and we are fine with that. But this is a limited concept. And that's what I think I've read yesterday in the manual, and they wrote it down. So they didn't want to do this concept to have limited single overdrive pedals. They wanted to have something which gets in between those tones, because sometimes you're using, for example, a clone, and then you think, oh, I need a little bit more mids, or I need this, or I need that. And then you think, okay, limited, taking over, next pedal. And with the Kemper drive, you don't need to do that. So you can shape the tone in between. This is the famous last words.
That's the beauty of well, and always this very flexible authoring system, so to say, that comes with a price, because you have to, try to get an idea of what you're doing, what you want to achieve, and where, if you got the clone, as when we keep to stay with your example, then you need to get an idea for, what you want to change in the clone tone to get more this aspect of that other pedal, but with that you're missing the basic clone character. So here we allow, the Kemper drive allows to go in between and have more flavors, basically. And it's like, you know your city the best. If you go for ramen noodles or whatever dish you like, and you go to different places, it's like using different drive pedals.
Mm.
It's basically ramen, but the flavor, some aspects are always different. And when you try to do it yourself, then you're in front of the situation. Okay, how much of this ingredient and that ingredient do I use? And usually you will end up somewhere you didn't expect to, anyways.
Mm.
But that's the fun part. So,
Yeah.
long story short, please try this at home, because Thomas provides the rig he just used for the drive stuff, and try to get a feel for it with your guitar and the various gain situations to maybe remind you what really makes the difference there, and how you can use the various stages to shape your tone. So, okay, see you next time with, I think, the first Focus edition. And hope you're well. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.